welcome everyone. Today we are excited to have Hyster-Yale Group join us on our monthly Znode webinar. And today we're going to talk about not all B2B buyers want an Amazon experience. And so, as always, we're going to jump into our agenda from a housekeeping perspective. If there are any questions throughout the webinar today, please do use the Q&A bubble, which is part of the Zoom features and the Zoom controls. This webinar is being recorded. After we're done with the webinar, it will be shared via email to anyone who's signed up, and it will also be uploaded to the Znode YouTube channel if you have an opportunity to go to the Znode YouTube channel. Additionally, all other customer webinars are on the YouTube channel if you're looking for other information. We're going to start off with introductions, and then we're going to hear the story about Hyster-Yale Group and their journey with B2B e-commerce. We're going to have a demo after that. That will be part of the story. We're going to wrap up with Q&A, and if we have time, we are going to have some fun and do a lightning round and talk about holiday traditions. So with that, let's jump into introductions. So Audra, Stephen, welcome. Great to have you here. I will let you two introduce yourselves. Audra, do you want to go first?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Audra Cox. I am the e-commerce operations manager at Hyster-Yale Group. I've been with the organization almost 5 years. At the end of this month will be 5 years. But I manage everything with our e-commerce implementation and customer onboarding for our after-sales group.
Awesome. Thanks, Audra. Welcome.
Yeah,
Stephen, do you want to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Hey, everybody. My name is Stephen Peckus. I'm the product information manager for Hyster-Yale Group, and I get the benefit of having a title that actually describes the acronym for the system that I work in, which is PIM. And so I help to develop and manage and support our PIM, which naturally goes hand in hand with all things e-commerce. And so rich of data, you'll see a lot of different information about some of our history, but it's a joy to be able to work with all this data and try and make it and compile it into a unified structure so that everybody can make something of it. So that's what I do day in and day out. I've been with the company for about 6 years or so, and kind of have a background in product management with Hyster-Yale Group previous to this.
Sounds good. Awesome. Thank you, Stephen. So big question. Both of you have, it looks like you're in forklifts. Are you really working in forklifts, or is that just a backdrop?
Yeah, that's my virtual forklift that I ride. I am wearing my seatbelt, so you can't see it, but just want to let you know.
Awesome. And welcome, everyone. My name is Tom Fleural. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer at Commerce, the parent company of Znode. So great to be with everyone today. Well, why don't we start off? Audra, Stephen, why don't you tell us a little bit about Hyster-Yale Group, the business, the background, how you go to market?
Yeah, it's an exciting thing to talk about. So thanks, Tom. We at Hyster-Yale Group have a very rich history, as you can see on the slide. I mean, 100-year history that we have, a lot of data, a lot of complexities, and just a lot of really interesting, unique, newly developed designs. And so with all this history, it makes managing and maintaining and still cultivating a lot of that very at sometimes challenging, but also very rewarding. There's a broad mix of products that we offer. It's mostly in the material handling industry, and our core business is lift trucks. So with a rich history like that, as you can imagine, we also have a big global and diverse presence. We are situated in pretty much most of the major continents. The Hyster-Yale Group itself has roughly 24 or 25 different locations across the globe. Some of those are manufacturing plants. Some of those are engineering and design development centers. Some of those are parts distribution centers. And so there's a lot of functional areas across the globe, which also makes, tying all of this data from a broad array of locations a challenge, but also a rewarding challenge. Coupled with that, our business model is largely B2B. Right, we still absolutely serve and value our end customer, but our first customer is our independent dealer network. And so we do have, and it's been this way for many, many years, but have a very large independent dealer network that serves our end customers. This dealer network certainly supports the Hyster and Yale trucks, but also gets called to work on all sorts of other related products. And as you can imagine, our customers have very diverse environments, be it outdoors or indoors or cold or freezer or wet. And so our dealers need to understand all of those nuances to really support their customers. And from a Hyster-Yale Group perspective, it's important for us to see, well, what is the need of the customer? What is the need that we're hearing from our dealer? And so we're really connected all the way from an engineering level directly to the voice of customer. We want to know and understand what drives value, what are the challenges and unique risk factors that we're trying to solve for. And so we are an engineered first company. We have a very rich and diverse group of engineers who are working around the clock to solve for and structure new components. And it's an exciting thing to see all the works and new development items. But with that comes a lot of new data. And this diversity in data means, again, and you hear me repeat some of these words, but it is a challenge. And so trying to structure this data in a way that's usable both for our internal customers, so those users internal to HYG, as well as our dealers, and then even ultimately to our customers is, a chief priority, but it is, again, a challenge. So structuring that from our rich history, our global diversity, our dealer network, and being engineer driven, that makes it a very unique offering that we have. And really our go-to-market strategy is we are selling to our dealer who is distributing and selling directly to our customer. So what you'll see today and what we have an opportunity to demo is, something that's a little different than Amazon. Amazon is direct to consumer, right? It is a very, I'd say, kind of impersonal assortment. It's a wide array without really understanding the customer value propositions, where for us, we have to know that intimately from the beginning. And that's what drives so many of the decisions that we've had to make in formulating our e-commerce strategy and offering.
Awesome. That's an incredible background. I know personalization in your world is different than Amazon, so it'll be interesting to hear how you tackle that.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And so as you can see on the screen here, we have gone through a journey over the past several years to implement a new e-commerce offering. But prior to implementing what we have today, we've been riddled with a lot of interesting kinds of developments and tool sets, and some digital and some not. The thing is that what we've developed for so many years has been so good. You heard me speak about it before, a diverse data set. Well, it's really a very rich data set, but we've needed to understand how can we cultivate that rich data set and make it useful for consumption digitally. Not everything was available online. And so we had to take a lot of what's been so good for so long and ingest it into one platform. Some of the, if I'm going to call it the challenges of years past, is we've had many different systems that were not linked together. Some would give you a piece of information from one, and you'd have to take that to the next, to the next, to the next. And I think that's pretty true for a lot of us in the manufacturing space. But as we look at what's really good and rich about each of those data sets, we want to try and bring that into one unique offering. And that's where Znode really has been such an incredible fit for us, especially being a flexible model, a headless design that's given us that ability to take those inputs from all these different systems and places.
Yeah, that's great. Traditional manufacturing, legacy systems, analog processes, analog data in some areas. That makes perfect sense. So
That's
walk
right.
us through some of the work that you've done to make Znode work for you.
Yeah, so we really, with the Amazon experience, what we know from that Amazon experience is that it's easy for users. It makes things very available and it personalizes your experience. So we really wanted to do that. We know that we've got such a history, like Stephen was saying, and with that brings a lot of different user types and requirements around, what people can do within the system. We have contracts with dealers where they're really owning the relationship with our customer, but we have to support that still. So we needed the system to be flexible. We needed it to be, the headless part was great. And then we needed it to be able to support our complex needs. So we first worked with our implementation partner on a customer segmentation study, and this really like got down into all of our user groups, what they needed to do, who we were building for, how we needed to build things. This is really key in us figuring out from the beginning how we were going to start this journey and build out what we needed in our e-commerce. Stephen mentioned the product information management and all of our legacy systems. We have data coming from so many different places, and in some cases repeated, but then not consistent because different people are owning those systems. We didn't want to have to do a rip and replace, so we did implement a PIM, and we're pulling all of that data into the PIM, so then it feeds into Znode more cleanly, and we can display that for our end users. So Znode really fit the bill for everything that we needed to implement, and we launched our MVP September of 2021.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, you also have a lot of unique B2B contract rules that have to be configured by dealer and by account, correct?
We do. And you'll see a little bit of that more in the demo, but we have to have like certain mapping and whatnot with our customers and dealers. You can't have a dealer servicing a customer outside of their territory. And so there's a lot of configuration that had to be done to help support the business needs that we needed.
Makes sense. And I love your business model because it really is B2B to B. You're working with a dealer who's working with a customer, but you want one seamless experience for all of your customers, the end customer and the dealer. So let you talk a little bit about that as well.
Yeah. So this is a very high level slide, but just gives you an idea of the customer and dealer, and then from that, all the different user groups that we can have in both of those categories. You know, you might have a dealer technician, but then you have an e-procurement buyer, and then you have your business users. The same for the customer. There might be a situation where you have a technician in the field, but you don't want them to be able to place orders. They need to be approved and reviewed. So then you have a buyer situation. So we've had a lot of work done around our roles and permissioning within the system.
Yeah, that's interesting. When I think about customer segmentation, it's a lot about demographics, psychographics, other things, but you're also talking about what business rules, what contract rules fit within these different segments as well, correct?
Right.
Awesome. All right.
Our implementation is really that gateway between the dealer and the customer. So we need to be able to fit into what those rules are between the customer and the dealer.
Makes sense. Well, here's where the magic starts. I think we're going to hand it off to Audra, and she is going to now, I'm going to stop sharing. Audra, do you want to take over and jump in and do a demo?
Give me just a second here. I'm going to stop my video because we sometimes have some bandwidth issues here in the office. Okay, so what I am sharing today is, well, first off, this is our dealer view of our e-commerce site. I'm showing you this because I want to show you a key feature that we've implemented, which is an impersonation feature. For the most part, both the dealer view and the customer view, just from a skin perspective, look the same, but there are a lot of differences behind the scenes that are making the site work in different ways. So we have our top level navigation up here. If you go into account and then profile, we have the ability to see the customers who are associated with this dealer branch. From there, you can see users who are set up. And then we have the view as user feature here. So if I'm needing to help support one of my customers for any reason, I can come in and view as user. And this is going to take me into an impersonation mode. I'm going to finish the demo from the customer view, but I wanted to show you all how that worked. we've found this very helpful both internally and with our customers and dealers, just being able to troubleshoot and get into the site to see and help support. Okay, so we have multiple ways of searching here. We have the keyword, part name number. We also have part category, and that breaks down farther. And then we have by truck. This is really how we want our users to be searching the site, because it's going to get them down to exactly what they're looking for from the get-go. And Stephen, if there's, if you want to chime in at any time, feel free. So I'm going to choose a truck here. You can see we've got previously viewed trucks. You can search by serial number, model, or series. The serial number is going to take you to your truck. So that's the best way to search. When you do that, we've built in this function for special engineered options. So these are special parts for this particular truck. So going in by the serial number, you're really getting to the items that you have on your truck that are specific to your lift truck.
Yeah, and I'll make a comment on that really quick, Audra. So many of our trucks in years past have been, there's lots of different options that you can get, but as is the case, whether it's automotive or material handling, a lot of manufacturing types of industries, they've increasingly gone kind of to both modular as well as customized. And that level of customization means that we have all these different options. And so it's far greater than even 50% of our trucks that may have some type of unique or specially engineered designed option. And so being able to have that at the forefront to our customers is really important. And so, with these lists that you see here, these may be the basic framework for building blocks of the truck, but this bill of materials, this BOM information, including that specially designed detail, is really, really important.
Yeah, thanks for that. You can also see that we have a view manual. So we've integrated with our technical reference database, and we're able to pull in PDFs of the manuals for the parts or for the trucks. We've got service and operator manuals in here. And then go back. Okay, so this lower section of the page, this is our assembly breakdown. Stephen could probably talk about this section for a long time, but this is where you really get down into the truck and the components of the truck. So I'm just going to go into the, let's see. Is this where you wanted me to go? Stephen was to the frame.
Oh, yeah. So I'm sorry. Yep. If you go into deselect the frame, but then if you go into, I should have mentioned that before, if you go into engines.
Okay.
Yep. And then if you go into, oh no, I told you wrong. I was on a different one. I'm so sorry. If you go back into fuel system below that,
okay,
the very first one, air intake system. Okay. That's right. If you go into that system, and what you'll see when you're looking at the screen, you have different things that are bolded and have a line, and that really indicates that the truck was built with that particular component. Some are deselected and some are selected. And so this is really important in helping the customer identify, or our dealer identify, what part that truck was built with, which is why the serial number way of finding your parts is so key to this user journey. Audra, if you scroll down, or even if you highlight in hotspot number 10, either way, that's it's over to the far. There you go. Yep. And so if we were looking at an air filter here, which is such a common replacement item, the customer or the dealer would be able to see here. What we've actually done is built in a way to see the sub-assembly, because the air filter is more than just that one canister. There's some more components that make up that full assembly. So if you click on view sub-assembly parts diagram, this actually then breaks out kind of another overall diagram and gets just a little bit further, which is super nice. So scroll down even to number, whether it's number 3 or one of these other ones. This gives, of course, a super common, very frequently purchased replacement item would be an air filter. In this case, the customer sees what that item is, but if they want to, they can select that and view the PDP, the product display page, and sometimes see information about it, or an image for that matter. In this case,
Yep.
it's also helpful for them. They do see an image, but they also see some replacement information if it's been superseded or replaced another part number in there. So it's really helpful and beneficial for that customer, because sometimes these parts are reused over, many, many years, if not decades at a time, which kind of takes us back to that rich data history that we have, and we have to still maintain so much of that.
Yeah, thanks, Stephen. You can also see on the page here, you can add the item to cart or create list. Once you've done that, we have full cart and list pages that you can view. Going to the carts, I just want to show you what we have done. We have two different power brands with Hyster and Yale. Again, I'm looking at a customer view, and we talked about the dealer mapping that we have to do so that you have a certain dealer who's fulfilling parts in a certain territory. We do all that on the back end. You can see here that this is my customer location, and then this is the servicing dealer branch. We're on the Hyster page right now. However, if you can switch between the different locations that you have the capability of ordering for and switch to each brand. So here on the cart page or the list page, you see both Yale and Hyster carts in here. And we did that to make it easier, less clicks for the user. We didn't want them to have to go in and out of different systems. Again, we had so many to begin with. So we've implemented a multi-cart checkout, which allows you to multi-select different carts, different brand carts, but then take you to basically like a checkout wizard. And this allows you to go through each of your carts and order kind of more streamlined. We also allow miscellaneous parts for our customers because we're not fulfilling those orders. It's the dealer who's fulfilling them. So the dealer will have to figure out how they're going to procure those parts and then send them to the customer. So here you can make changes, you can add items. If this was a shopper situation or a shopper had created these, but then the buyer is going to come in and do the purchasing, they would have the ability to reject a cart if there's some changes that need to be made or whatnot. But I'm not going to actually check out because I am in our production system right now, but you can see I'm viewing cart 104. I'm just going to skip ahead, just pretend I hit checkout, and now I'm on viewing cart 204. So just allows you to go through all of that quite easily. And then once all your, you've submitted orders, you want to see all of your order information, we do have the order history list. You can go to, I don't think there's any showing right here because it's demo account, but your orders would show here. So that's really high level. We didn't have a whole lot of time for demos, so I am gonna stop with the demo there, but if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Yeah, and Audra, I'll just add into that too. I mean, this kind of is a good place just to really quick talk about what's next too. We did show kind of the by truck and how you find the parts and purchase those, but also we're heavily invested in augmenting the entirety of the products that we have, which could be other accessories or related items, or even the cross-sell and upsell functionality, or maybe some other intelligence from the data that's off of a customer's truck, which would be the hours or how long it's been in business or time since the last maintenance. I mean, there's a lot of things that we can do, really interesting things we can do with data. And so ultimately we want to make this, of course, easy, but really highly personalized experience for the customers and be extremely engaging for them and the dealer, and having a seamless experience here, I think has been a really big win so far for our user base.
Yeah, if I can jump in, I think what I see as we're going through this is basically we talked about, I'm trying to map it back to the product, but what your customers get is you do have a B2B to B business model where either the end customer can log in, see their dealer, or the dealer can log in and find the right part. So you're serving these two audiences. And when I say we, I think people in the software industry throw on terms like headless, all these other things. But when I look at what Hyster-Yale Group is doing, you get the flexibility of the headless platform. But what really matters is the API layers that you're pulling in parts exploders from a third-party system. you're pulling in different product information from your PIM system. You're pulling in product information probably from 1 or 2 ERPs, I'm guessing, a couple of different systems.
Yeah, ERPs,
Yeah.
pricing engines, it could be engineering or PLM, it could be calls to all these different systems that really the customer has no idea that it's coming from a different place, but it offers up that seamless or fully integrated solution.
Exactly. So it's the correct user experience, but it's also all the data that populates to make that user experience something special, which is all done through API calls. We do.
And
Go ahead,
I will
Audra.
mention too that we are a global organization, like Stephen said. So we have implemented our EMEA team as well to the Znode platform.
That's right. I was going to ask you from a global perspective. Yeah, that's part of your journey as well, correct?
It is.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And we have 2 questions in the Q&A bubble. I promised Stephen and Audra that there wouldn't be a lot of questions, but there are. We're starting down that path. It said you have performed a lot of customization to the standard system. Did you perform this in-house, third party? Basically, I think the question is who's helping you implement Znode? If you want to take that one, we have 2 more questions, and then we can actually, I think we're going to round out of time, but we can maybe wrap up with something fun.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, we are working with an implementation partner, Intara. I think they're a preferred partner of Znode. They had a great background in manufacturing and e-commerce. So they helped us from the start, from our customer segmentation study and through our implementation. We're still working with them.
So a great group of people.
Yes, they are.
Other question, how many people do you have in-house supporting the system?
I think this is a funny question because I would love to say that we have, a lot, but I have 1 person on my team, so there's 2, and then we have Stephen. We have a BA, and then we have other SMEs who help support along the way. The EMEA folks have a small group as well.
Sure. And I'm sure when we talk about supporting the system, it's not just supporting the technology in the system, it's supporting, like, where do you find the right product information? Where do the calls have to be made to? It's really about the bigger system of Hyster-Yale Group's multiple systems, correct?
Mm-hmm.
That's correct. And there's different SMEs at the tech stack level. So there's not just one person who owns the entirety of it. But as Audra mentioned, it's a fairly small team that supports that entire ecosystem of technology, making this thing run on the front end.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Well, last question is, are you running in-house or AWS? Actually, this is single tenant SaaS. This is actually hosted by Znode, for that last question that came in the Q&A bubble.
Yep.
All right. Well, first of all, you guys did a great job. We are going to run over because we have to talk about something fun before we wrap up. So 1 minute over. Thanksgiving is right around the corner here, as well as the holidays. So any big holiday traditions that you want to share that everybody can get some takeaways from? And I'm going to throw this at Audra first.
Baking cookies. My family has done that since I was little. So now, I try and get my mom to come help, but that's always a big fun experience for me and my family.
Now, can we have people sign up in the Q&A bubble to receive a box?
Right.
Me too.
Yeah.
And Stephen, what about you? Any big holiday traditions?
It's been a growing tradition. So I have 4 daughters. And so with my large family that I have, as well as several friends in close proximity, we've had a recent tradition of going caroling around the neighborhood. So everybody actually hops on a trailer that I hook up to the truck, and we just kind of drive around and go caroling. And it's just a fun, really cold night, and everybody bundles up and, gets hot cocoa or anything like that. And it's just a fun time. So we all look forward to that.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I think with that, we're going to wrap it up, but thank you both so much. Really appreciate you sharing your journey with us and talking a little bit more with Znode customers as well. So with that, we're going to end the webinar, but Audra, Stephen, thank you so much.
Great.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.